Next, we'll take a look at composition number 5, linking paths and paint shapes. In this composition, there is nothing, just a blank canvas. We'll want to create a new solid, so again, we'll use Ctrl-Y or Command-Y on a Mac to create a new solid, making sure that it's the composition size. I'll click OK. Now I can use the brush tool to start painting. If I double-click here, I know that I can paint an object. However, it may be difficult to paint, especially if you're trying to paint with a mouse. In After Effects CS3, I can use expressions to control the paint path. If I type PP on the keyboard, I'll open up the brush layers, and here under Brush 1, I can see that the shape of this is governed by a path. In previous versions of After Effects that contained the paint tool, this parameter was called shape. It's no longer the shape that we're controlling with this parameter, but the path that we can see when we click on the brush stroke. This dark line in the center of the brush stroke indicates its path. If I create a mask shape on the same layer with the pen tool, by clicking and drawing a simple image, then set that mask shape by typing M to reveal the mask properties and changing this to none, I no longer see the paint strokes. That's because I'm in the layer window, and under View, we're looking at only the mask shape. Let's go back to our composition window so we can see both the mask and the paint. We'll hold the Shift key down and type PP to open up the brush parameter as well. We'll open this up to reveal that the mask has a path and our brush has a path. What we want to do is define the brush's path by the mask's path. I'll hold the Alt key down and click on the stopwatch to create an expression. Then I'll use the pick whip to drag up to the mask path and use Enter to complete it. Now I can't see all of the brush stroke because it's gone off the frame. What I need to do is offset where that brush stroke occurs. Remember, underneath the brush, I have not only stroke options, but I have the ability to transform the brush. So underneath my brush, I can change its position or change its anchor point. We'll change its position, then change the value of the brush tip under the stroke options. I'm going to change the color first of all to black. Next, I'll change its diameter to 41. I'll change the angle to 49, and the hardness will remain at 100. I'll use the Tab key to navigate down to roundness, and I'll change the roundness value to 45. I'll go back to frame 0, and at frame 0 I can see that the brush stroke hasn't occurred yet. So I'll navigate up in the timeline, then move the brush stroke back to the beginning of the layer. Now that these two properties are linked, by setting a very simple animation for our mask path, by navigating down through the timeline, then using the selection tool to change the vertices along the outside of our mask path, I'll change the appearance of that brush's path. I'll copy the first keyframe, then paste it at the end. Unfortunately, path keyframes can't be retimed using an expression. Currently, the only expressions I have available to me are those that define the mask properties. By typing MM on the keyboard, I can see those. They are the mask path, the feather, the opacity, and the expansion of the mask. In order to finish this character, we'll use the pen tool. But remember, with the pen tool selected and a layer selected, we'll create a new mask. We don't want to create a new mask shape. We want to create a new shape layer. I'll use F2 on the keyboard to deselect all of the layers. Then in the options, I can see that I've switched over to creating a shape tool. I'll change the fill color to something a little more pink and click OK. I only need to click and create one point. In my shape layer, I'll open up the contents and view that path. Inside the shape layer, I also have a path which defines the appearance of my shape layer. Again, I'll use Alt or Option on a Mac and then click on the stopwatch. Now I'll drag the pick whip for this expression down to the mask path on our painted layer. I'll use Enter on the keyboard to say OK. Now I can see that the path for the shape follows the path for the mask on the painted layer. But I still need to do one more thing. The transformation is a little bit off. So, here underneath my transformation for my shape, I'll create an expression for the position by using the Alt key, then clicking on the stopwatch. Remember, on the Mac, you'll use the Option key, then click on the stopwatch. Now I'll need to drag down to the position for our brush stroke offset. I don't have that open yet, so I'll use Enter on the keyboard to accept this as is, then navigate down to the brush layer. I'll close up the mask shape, then select that layer and type PP on the keyboard to see the brush stroke. I can then open up the brush stroke here, or just type UU on the keyboard to show all of the parameters that I've changed. The position is one of them, and it's all the way down at the bottom. I'll navigate all the way back up, choose the pick whip for the expression for the position of the shape layer, then drag it down to match the position of the transform for the brush. I'll use Enter on the keyboard to accept this, and I can see that the position is off just a little bit. That's okay because under the transformation for my shape, I also have the ability to slip the anchor point. I can do this and move the anchor point into position so that the shape layer appears over the top of our paint layer. The last thing I want to do is trim the image in a little bit and change the caps on the stroke. In order to trim it in, I'll add the effector for offset paths. By default, offset paths will set the amount to a value of 10. I want this to be a negative value so that it appears inside the stroke. Additionally, I want to change the stroke. So here under stroke, I'll change the value of the stroke and the way the lines are capped and joined. Now my mask shape, which is very easy to control and very easy to animate, is controlling my paint stroke as well as the shape layer. By clicking 0 on the number pad, I get a quick RAM preview of what this small animation might look like.